All right. Well, this is SANDCAST. Got another Zoomcast edition here. We got Triborn, and we are presented, as always, by Wilson, which you can find in the background of Tri's screen over there.
Hey,
And then if Tri leans a little bit to the left, we got some Monster and Kona. And then always Maui Jim making its presence known here on the show. So I had to give a shout out to our sponsors, keeping us alive despite the quarantine. And we got we got Batman, the Batman of beach volleyball on the show. We got Parker Conley of BounceBeach. What's going on, dude?
What's up? How have you been?
We've been great,
Quarantine's
honestly.
been
Yeah, well,
weird.
I got out to the beach this morning, played beach volleyball, like real beach, like with jump. It was the first time I jumped since like February. I pretty much swung and missed once. It was pretty tragic because I've been going.
where'd you play?
We went down in Huntington off Sunset
Oh
Beach.
yeah, I got it.
And so it was like kind of these like private courts. It was like tucked away. It was super nice. And yeah, there was like a 50-50 option. I just went up and pretty much got like a fingernail on it and it went under the net. It's pretty tragic. But
Wow.
yeah, it was impressive. I
Hasn't
couldn't
been
do
that
it again
long.
if I tried.
It hasn't been that long to where you can get away with that. That's on the Bounce Beach, not top 10.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I can give you those for days, Parker. If you ever need a not top 10, I got you covered.
Okay, yeah, new series coming. Did you guys have to set up a net, or are there nets at those courts?
There were nets set up and lines down too. Actually, it's the nets were a little bit janky, but at this point, any net would do. You could put a badminton net
Sure.
up, and I'd be pretty stoked. As
Like a
long as
clothesline, yeah.
yeah. How's quarantine been treating you though? We kind of chatted about it a little bit before we were on the record and recording here, but things being productive down in Arizona.
It has, yeah. It hasn't been a huge shift for me. I've been saying like I was 6 months early because I just switched to online school, going to my junior year of high school. So I was kind of adjusted to like the home lifestyle, working from home and everything. Um, but yeah, we've been very lucky, my family, with my parents have been able to work from home. Um, we haven't been going to the grocery store. We've been ordering from Amazon and stuff like that. And it's been pretty easy. I think there's a little bit of a markup and nothing insane. So I've been home here for a while. I haven't been on sand for like 2 or 3 months. Um, but Arizona's opening up again, so we'll see when I get back out there.
Yeah, what's the volleyball scene like down in Arizona? We were just kind of mentioning, some of the names that we both know, like Kevin Villela and Garrett Roberts, Dylan Cox, and Christian Honer. But what is beach volleyball like a bigger thing down in Arizona? Is it a little bit quiet? Is it more indoory?
It is more indoory. I started playing one. My first year was playing indoor. There's like pretty much one big club out here. Ryan Mariano, you might know the name.
Yeah.
RPM Sand. So he was a former pro, great guy, good coach. He he is the biggest club out here. A bit of a monopoly, like with the best players there. I think he sent over like 60 girls or something to play D1. Um, but yeah, that's where I kind of picked up the sport and everything. Training with him, he kind of took me under his wing. The other indoor is like one bigger club. There's a few other clubs spread throughout Arizona, but the big one is Fear. It's like an indoor club here.
Okay.
And,
60 is a
and do
big
they have,
number.
sorry, they have indoor beach courts as well?
There are indoor beach courts, but they're not great. Arizona isn't a great place for indoor beach because it's sunny year round.
Yeah, right. I figured sometimes like your feet might just be like on absolute, like you can't play outside because it's too hot. So maybe you got to go in.
Yeah, there's one called the Beach House, but it was like an office building. Um, they kind of transformed it, but not really. The ceiling's a little low. The end lines are a little short.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
got it.
I wrote a story on the beach house and how tough it is to find like indoor beach facilities, because the guy he was talking about all this stuff that you would never think about, like Do you know how hard it is to lease a space that will allow you to bring in tons of sand and bleachers and play beach volleyball? He's like, it's impossible. So he was looking for a place for like 2 or 3 years before he like finally landed on the beach house. I was like,
Sure.
that's a lot of stuff I would never have thought of.
Yeah. I would use it more, but it's a little bit of a trek for me. It's like 50-minute drive.
Okay. And so are you
Yeah.
close to like, are you close to Victory Lanes?
No, that's a bit of a trek too.
Okay.
But it's like a lesser court, but there aren't any great courts out here. Like it's famous for just being like dusted over with sand, like mostly concrete. But yeah, I train 30 minutes away, usually in Scottsdale, sometimes using the GCU courts. They have pretty nice courts and a pretty good team. So I've been using those. And the sand's like all right. It's nothing like any of the beaches in California. Yeah.
So how does one go from Arizona, where it's like, you know, the beach dusty courts, as you say, how does one start in Arizona and become like the biggest beach volleyball fanatic? You probably have to watch more film than like probably 20% of the beach volleyball population combined.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I really enjoyed the game. I knew like, because I'm not taking really the traditional path of an indoor player going through college, and especially coming from Arizona, there was like a clear defined path for me. So I knew like a 16, 17-year-old boy from Arizona coming out to California, no one would know who he is. Because, you know, beach volleyball is like a little bit of a cliquey sport in that way because, you know, but it also is a sport where you can see the pros playing like right beside you on the beach. So I knew I needed some kind of way to get myself known. And I watched a lot of film because I wanted to play someday. And I kind of like all these other sports have highlights on Instagram and stuff, but all these cool highlights that I would see, they wouldn't be anywhere shared anywhere. So I thought I should do it. Yeah.
And have you always been into like more of the computer side, like putting videos together and stuff like that? Because I mean, that's a tough skill. Like, it sounds really simple, but I've been trying to figure out the social media game for a while, and it's tough. And I'm already like 10 years deep into this thing.
Yeah, I've been, you know, I grew up kind of techie, like spending my days in the computer after school playing video games. I've kind of migrated away from that, more social media. Um, if I or wherever I go to college, if that's the path I end up taking, I'd like to like keep going with computer science stuff, maybe a little video editing.
Love it.
So, yeah.
And then the beach volleyball route is a dream of yours too, to get on the tour and whatnot.
It is, yeah. But I kind of understand that I have to have some other source of income probably. So
And a lot of people don't come into it with that.
yeah.
You're smart. You're actually ahead of a lot of people.
Way ahead of the game.
Because beach volleyball is such a sport where, like, once you do create a name for yourself in the sport, like, you kind of have to create a brand as well to actually have value besides just showing up and playing well, because there's a lot of players that can show up and play well. So I think you're way ahead of a lot of people, and you don't have to, like Travis, you don't have to necessarily rely on your game to be successful and make a living in this sport. You know, you can find your own niche, which it's pretty cool. I think Travis is probably one of the only people that really do it as well as he's done it. So maybe I think that's the guy you want to follow. And he's creeping in on the main draws as well. He's got a few under his belt.
For sure. Yeah, it's like right now I'm planning to go to college. I have good grades. I'm a good student. So if that's where life ends up taking me, I'll follow that. But if BounceBeach eventually becomes its own source of income, right now it's not there.
Right.
I have ideas, but none of it's there yet. So
No,
yeah.
that's a good thing. You don't have to. You can just do it for the love of it, for as long as you want. But it's also cool. I mean, if you come to California, it's not like it's a full-time thing either. You know, you keep it going on the side, do your schoolwork, play for fun. Who knows?
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm seeing it now.
Yeah.
So you, like, when you started this Instagram page, well, how old is the page now? Do you have like kind of a date or timeline on that?
January of last year I started. The first
it's hardly a
event I
year
kind
old.
of covered was the Hague.
Holy cow. So it's blown up that quickly. And I mean,
Yeah.
when you made it, what was the intent of it? Like, did you know, like you said that other sports have these highlight pages, beach doesn't really have one. Did you think that it would become pretty popular? Or was that an intent, or were you just like, no one else is doing this, I want to give this a go?
Yeah, I think it was the latter. I had no idea where I was going to go. I'm still being blown away by how many people are, following it. I thought eventually I'd hit a cap and like I'd stop getting followers and stuff, but I haven't hit it yet. So,
It seems to be only accelerating from my point. Like, I don't like track the metrics, but I just, every time I open up Instagram, I just see BounceBeach, BounceBeach, and like people talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
that's what I felt too. Yeah. I mean, there are points like how the algorithm works where I'm like trending at some point, getting a lot of views. Maybe I post like a specifically cool clip. And then it starts to tail down. I'm like, oh, this is the end. I'm going to stop growing, but it always comes back up. And the views have always been increasing. So yeah.
Did you have like a moment where you knew you had something pretty good on your hands? Or are you still like kind of in that moment where you're like, holy cow, I got something pretty nice here?
I am. I guess, as I kind of started growing, it's been kind of cool to see how the pros interact with it. I've had a lot of people reach out to me asking for me to create clips for them, stuff like that. And that was my goal originally, is to be able to, have my name known, build a brand for myself in a way. So yeah, that was kind of having the pros, have it be like a kind of form in a way where pros will talk about highlights and stuff, has been kind of surreal.
Yeah, like I was a couple weeks ago, so Huntington was still kind of open, and I went down just to like pepper around with Delaney and Corinne Quiggle, and we ran into Jake Gibb and Taylor, and he was like, yeah, and he started talking about Bounce Beach. Like that was just, he was just like, came up in conversation, and then like a couple days later, like, so you and Jake did kind of not like a webinar, but you were like talking about a clip, right?
We did, yeah. And that's something I want to start doing a little more, just to give a little bit to people who are more involved in the sport. I had him like analyze plays and stuff, and I'd like do slow motion, just to give his thoughts in a certain situation or certain match. Kind of giving back to those fans who are a little more involved in the sport, because right now, as I'm growing, the goal is to reach as large an audience as possible, but start creating new content to supplement that.
I thought that was awesome, actually. It was really cool to hear. Like, it's nearly impossible for fans to get a hold of that detailed of explanation of what's actually going on during a play at that level. And I thought, Jake was super open to it. I don't see why anyone else wouldn't be. I thought that was a really good idea, even though I had to give you crap for not letting the play roll through when we won.
Yeah. No, it was originally, but I'm like, would that really add to the clip, or?
Yeah. Good for me.
I'll have to have you on at some point. That'd be fun.
That one hurts because it got on ESPN too. So
Did they play the whole play on ESPN?
They did. That was good. No, I think at the end of the day, I'm probably just jealous because every time I open my phone, it's a Jake and Taylor highlight, and I'm just sick.
It is, yeah. Jake and Taylor, Beach Volley Vikings.
Like Taylor dug a ball. Jake blocked the ball, whatever. I'm like, oh my God, I need to play AVP more often.
Yeah.
Or play better, I should say.
Yeah, sure.
I was dying after south of the border volley vacations. There's like 3 straight videos of Baranek just like lipping and then bouncing past me. I was like, good. The first 2 times I'm on BounceBeach, it's just Eric like digging a 50-50 open net swing and then just OTing me. I was like, well, it's a pretty fitting clip for me to be.
Yeah, Troy around the back. Yeah.
How do you go about getting clips? Like, cause yeah, I love that you're pulling them from the highest level, but also like anyone who pulls off a great volleyball play. Like, where are you going for this stuff?
Yeah. So in Doha this year was kind of like the first experience I had, like not going off the FIVB footage, because we have a good relationship, but they like to have the footage first on their page. So I have like a 2-day delay posting the clips after it happened or after they're posted on their page. So I had to go around looking for pages of people in Doha watching the event with their stories. And, people do that with other sports. It's just about, it's kind of going down a wormhole. Someone's tagged in someone else's story at the event. I check their page to see if they have any clips. But eventually I'd like to be able to, network with people from a certain event a little more once the page gets bigger and I have more time to settle. But yeah, otherwise I'm looking at YouTube for old footage, pulling from that, the AVP streams. Yeah.
So you've watched like all the matches on YouTube.
I've watched a lot of them. I keep finding more and more. It's insane, but yeah.
Wow.
I love that nod. It's like, yep, I have watched a lot of YouTube.
I've watched a lot, yeah.
I was gonna say, like, I thought I used to watch a lot of film, and I was like, holy cow, like, where's he finding these matches? These are awesome. And then like you'll put up a highlight, then I'll end up watching that entire match, and it's just like, holy cow. Appreciate you, Parker, for putting that one up and notifying me that there's this epic match I'd never seen before.
Yeah, there's some insane ones, like with very few views on YouTube. I'm like, how has no one ever seen this? It's like a guy recording in his like, old camera, but it's really the content that matters, not really the quality.
Yeah.
Or,
do you have like, is there a favorite match that you go to a lot, or do you even have time to like rewatch the same matches, or do you just like, all right, on to the next one?
Some that come to mind are matches that I just enjoyed watching. I think it was the 2015 World Champs is always a fun one. I think it was a 3-setter. Was it the Dutch insane. Versus Brazil?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there in person.
Epic third set.
I was actually in person at Huntington this year. Jake's match versus Phil and Nick. I think it was in the quarters. I think they went on to play. You guys try?
Yeah. Semis.
But it was 16 minutes in the freeze. The first 2 sets were a little bit lopsided. I think it was like 21-12, 21-16 type of thing. But it went like a super long freeze. That's a fun one.
Is video editing something that you have enjoyed doing for a while, or is this like totally new ground?
It was pretty new. I just took it up because I knew I needed to learn how to do it to post highlights.
Yeah. Is it because like it's not like you're putting together these like insane production value. Like what program do you use?
I actually use Premiere.
Okay.
So I get a student discount because I take some classes at ASU.
Nice.
So it's not like insanely expensive. Yeah.
Okay. So are you enrolled in college too? Like, are you doing like kind of a high school college like dual thing?
I am, yeah. That was probably the reason I went online. There was a super cool opportunity. The school's called ASU Prep Digital. It's like if it was a typical online school, I probably would have stayed bricks and mortar. But they allowed me to take 2 free college classes every semester.
Oh, nice.
Which is like they're free compared to the normal price. That's insane. So that was the reason I switched over. So I have like an ASU email and everything. I get student discounts, and I get like a little head up. I might have like a semester or a little more done when I get to college.
That's awesome. And I feel like what you're doing with Bounce Beach is like a college course in marketing, video editing, networking. I feel like you're probably learning just as much from building this page as you are from most of the classes that you're taking.
Sure.
For sure. Yeah. I feel the same. Just beach volleyball in general. I've learned a ton from the sport. As a boy, the only one who's really pursuing beach volleyball. There's no like path for me. I've had to learn, networking, a lot of rejection, that type of thing.
So when you were growing up, did you watch a lot of film too? Like were you like kind of scouring YouTube?
So I started playing volleyball 4 or so years ago. Anything I kind of do, I'll kind of go straight to watching film, like see how the best people do it. Like even board games or something. If we're gonna play something as a family, I'll see if there's any like tips I can get. So yeah, that's kind of been my thought process as I pick up a new sport or anything. I want to see how the best at the sport or game do it.
And did you have anyone that you watched a lot, like when you were starting to get into the game, and that like whose game you try to emulate? Like when I first started playing, like I watched it like pretty much every one of Try's matches that I could, because we're built like pretty similar. So I've probably watched more of Try's film than Try has. I didn't I didn't know if you had did you have a player like that you watched just like a ton of, or if you still do?
Yeah, I have like a short 6 foot frame. So Bruno's been a big one. Gudo also from Brazil. Taylor Crabb, Todd, just players like that, defenders around my height. They're all pretty much super textbook. Bruno's probably one of the big ones because he's so recently performed at such a high level.
Yeah. Fifi. Fijalek.
Yeah. How tall is he?
He's pretty short.
6 foot? Yeah.
I would say
I can never really trust the numbers.
Yeah, you can't really trust the numbers. I'd say he's shorter than Bruno, right, Travis?
I think I just call him Polish Todd.
Right, yeah.
So I think he's around like 6 foot, maybe a hair under.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Swarms, obviously, but he's playing a different form of defense. Is he just because I think he's listed 6'3" in some places, but I've heard from people he's more like a 6'5". Is that true?
Who?
Swarm? Christian?
Oh, sorry. No, I wouldn't say he's 6'5".
Yeah.
I would guess like 6'3" and a half.
6'3". Yeah. So I'm like around that height, maybe a little on the shorter side. So just watching players like that.
He doesn't look that athletic, and then he does stuff, and he just like the way the ball comes off his arm is unconventional. Yeah, shoulder like dislocates sometimes.
I know.
Yeah.
Just watching him swing and hit that hard angle. Actually, I watched your match against them at World Champs the other day, and just watching like his shoulders just all the time. I'm like, he's got to be dying.
Taylor too.
Yeah.
And then they tilt their body, and then they hit it here.
Yeah.
It's weird as a blocker because you can't line up on their shoulder because their shoulder's going like this, but then their arm's out there. Yeah, it's weird.
Taylor will always comment about him like floating the ball when he hits it, not like a normal over the top spin.
Yeah, when he serves.
Like when he hits it, like it's not a normal trajectory.
Yeah, I mean he switches it up. So does Christian does that a lot. He hits it straight like a heavy float, or he just spatches it deep at you. Taylor will do it where he throws up a jump serve and then comes in and hits a float out of it. And that's just kind of like, I think when you throw up for a jump serve, you kind of get on your heels and prepare a certain way, and then a float comes.
Sure, yeah.
Gets a lot of movement too. We the first time I saw him hit that was when we were training against him and Jake before we left for a Norseca in La Paz. And he would just come in and barreling and just kind of like slap it. And those things dance. I don't know what it is about like when you take the spin off of it, when you hit the floater, it's gnarly.
Yeah. It's not super easy to do. I've tried to throw up one in practice. I'm like, he makes it look so easy on video.
Yeah, you know who does that well is that deep float that dances a lot is Rosie. his float is pretty gnarly. I haven't played him in a while, but his deep float, he puts some like heat on it, and that thing freaking moves on you.
I think Alisson, I mean, you were mentioning the 2015 World Champs when Alisson used to have that like thunder float that like it wouldn't have any top spin. I mean, I'm sure you probably played against him enough where you got it. He would just like hammer that thing with no spin. It was almost like playing dodgeball. It looked like.
Yeah, it's heavy for sure. It's weird, like the kind of thing where you're like, oh, I got this, because it's not moving that much. He doesn't make it dance too much.
Yeah.
But then you hit your platform and it goes like 3 feet further than you expected. Like, damn, that was a little Alisson behind that.
It's like a bullet too. He like swings through it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not even like a true top spin. It's almost like he's just so strong. He doesn't even have to wind up. It's just like, wow. And I mean, sometimes it's spinning, sometimes it's not. He just gets power from like nowhere.
Parker, do you think that your like learning curve has been accelerated by how much film you watch?
Yeah, I do. I think sometimes because there isn't a ton of play out here. Like I feel like mentally I'm trying to read balls and stuff from watching so much film. And I try to do too much sometimes. And, as I get to play more, I'll be able to apply everything I see. But yeah, I feel like I have a pretty above average understanding of the game. Just getting that to transfer by playing and playing and playing is the next step.
What's one thing that you kind of try to translate out to the sand that you've seen from all the pros?
I mean, a lot of it. Something like recently on my mind is watching a lot of defense, like positioning and stuff. I was looking back at the London games? Brink and Reckerman, Emmanuel, and it was Alisson. It's fun just, seeing where they start out, going super slow motion. And it's a little bit of a relief for me, not looking for clips, just watching volleyball to enjoy it and learn.
Yeah, totally. No, dude, I'm in the same boat as you right now. I'm trying to learn defense. So I've been pulling up these same matches and slowing them down and trying to figure it out as well. You got to get into some coaching one day. You're gonna have such a crazy like book of knowledge in your head.
For sure, I hope so. Yeah.
But it's funny because you said like sometimes I'm trying to do too much on defense, and that's something that I like have totally been watching. I'm like, wow, it seems like whenever a player makes like one of those spectacular plays, they're doing nothing. It's like one step, or they make it look so simple.
And it's interesting to put my mind in like the state of the defender, like what they're actually seeing,
right?
Because they're taught not to respond to anything like leaning or anything.
Yeah.
So like, is what I'm seeing like normal of any top defender? Like, cause sometimes, cause obviously when you're watching film, you'll see the ball on their right or left a little bit and they'll go high line. Like, is the defender seeing that? Are they having to stay disciplined because they see them in their peripheral? Or they'll switch it up otherwise, stuff like that.
Depends the level of play too, right?
Yeah.
Like guys are going to be able to hit shots from all over at different levels.
Yeah, for sure.
Love it. Earlier you were saying a lot of players have kind of hit you up to send them highlights or whatnot. Like, I mean, how many people are hitting you up? I'm thinking a lot might be because players are, like I was saying earlier, players are not good at this stuff. And this has become so valuable. This social media is like the driving force behind. I think people kind of overvalue it a little bit. Like they think that all their sponsors are going to come from having the biggest following, which I haven't found to be always true, but it is a huge part of it. Have you found, I mean, how many players do actually hit you up to like help them do something and create highlights or whatever?
Yeah, so over the last season, Phil hit me up, Jake, Nick, like a bunch of people. And that's something I'm super happy to do because that was kind of my mission in the first place. Like, I don't want payment or anything. I just want to be able to help people out. Obviously, I have skills that they don't have because their profession is playing beach volleyball.
Well, you've sent me some too.
Yeah. No,
Thank you.
I've sent you, Trevor,
Yeah,
Taylor. I can't list them off the top of my head.
we love it. Keep it coming.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Just seeing people reach out because I was kind of the first one to do it. Um, Everyone's been super nice. Um, Casey Jennings originally reached out to me, asking. He kind of helped me out, took me under his wing a little bit. The P1440 and everything when I was just getting started up. I think it was like 4,000. Now it's nearing 40,000. And then FIVB took notice a little bit. I do some work for them now, editing video for their pages. So yeah,
Heck yeah.
That's awesome.
Cool.
It's been crazy. I never expected any of this.
I can empathize. Me and you kind of have a similar trajectory in that. And like the first time I wrote on Beach, it was like just for fun, and then like an editor saw it, and it just kind of snowballed from there. But you mentioned something that I can definitely relate with, how it was super nice for you just to watch the London Olympics, just to watch and not look for highlights.
Yeah.
I was curious how you watch film, actually, whether you watch and when you see a highlight, you just kind of pause and clip and then continue, or if you're watching specifically for highlights, that you're just sort of like intense the whole time.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I'll have it on the background, but mostly I'm trying to learn. I mean, it's tough to learn every time you're looking for highlights, but I'll, because I'm interested in this sport, I'll slow things down. I'm like, what happened there? While I'm going through, I'll fast forward through like the sections in between points. If I really wanted to just look for highlights, I could probably watch matches at ×2 speed, 3 times speed, but that's not really, that wouldn't benefit me as much as watching it on normal speed and stuff.
Yeah. And when do your friends ever ask, like, what are you doing all day? Like watching all this beach volleyball film?
Yeah. Like, you're crazy. How do you watch so much volleyball? Yeah.
And like, what do you tell them when because like, as you mentioned, it's not like a business model yet, it's just kind of, it seems like a really fun hobby and a project at the moment. So you're just like, yeah, it's just something that I love to do.
Yeah. It's something I love to do. Obviously I have a huge following. So at some point I'll be able to monetize it or something, whether that's merch or Instagram will eventually monetize, or sponsors. That's not my real goal right now. The goal is just to grow. And like, I don't need any money to sustain myself right now. So
Right.
I might as well just focus as much on growing as possible. And then I can worry about monetizing when I need to.
Yeah. I mean, you're getting
Good
free
plan.
classes at Arizona State. You're doing something right.
Yeah.
And you're saying earlier that, so you're taking classes, but you haven't gone to college yet. Where did that high school, are you done? You graduated already?
No, so I did freshman, sophomore year at the school's called Tempe Prep. It was like a smaller charter school.
Yeah.
And like near the end of my sophomore year, I kind of felt like a lot of my time wasn't being used in like the way I could. Obviously, I was just starting up BounceBeach.
Yeah.
I was just, improving volleyball wise, stuff like that. So I felt like an open schedule would be super beneficial to me. I don't think I would have done any of this if I didn't have the opportunity to go to a school that offered me like college classes to give me some like head up. So this year I switched over the summer. I took a class trying out the system, and I thought it was a good fit. Throughout this process, obviously my family's been super supportive. I think most families would be like, what do you mean you're trying to go to online school?
Right.
But they've been super supportive, like sympathetic to my situation. I've been lucky.
I feel like I've always kind of thought that, school it's good because it gives you a path to go, because usually when you're young, you don't know how to navigate things on your own. But if you do, and you have that work ethic and you want to push yourself, it's almost more productive to be free of like the curriculum and just be able to start focusing on things that you want to focus on and that you're interested in. Because I feel like I didn't get to, I mean, I went all the way through college just being like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just taking these classes to pass. And now looking back, I'm like, man, if I could have focused on certain things that whole time, like I would have a lot more knowledge and whatnot. So that's pretty cool to see what you're doing and that you have that kind of drive at your age.
Yeah, my mindset's kind of changed too. Like I had the understanding that I would be able to learn and like learn for the sake of learning, not just good grades. Cause that's kind of, I did learn a lot, but you know, I was getting good grades because I knew that's what I needed, not because I actually wanted to learn the subjects. Moving to online, I had the understanding that I'd like be able to dive deeper into things if I wanted to. And not like I'd be able to have more of a personalized course schedule, personalized doing what I want. Like if I want to edit at a certain time, like having a sleep schedule that I prefer over waking up super early, that type of thing.
Yeah, totally.
You're figuring out the life secrets early.
Yeah, you're
working on your own
it,
schedule.
You're killing it.
Yeah. So I brought up the BounceBeach page over here. And so you have a little bit more than 1,300 posts and almost 40,000 followers and following 695. I'm curious as to how do you think the page got so big so fast? Because you're obviously not like one of those like spam accounts where you're just following 40,000 people to get 38,000 followers. So like, what's the process of making a viral Instagram account? Because I don't see you doing like a gajillion hashtags in each caption too.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried to be like as pure as possible, not looking for like the quick way out. And I did like mess around with those things. If at the beginning of my page, like if following a ton of people got me 1 million followers, maybe I'd do it. But like,
right.
I would do it in a second.
Exactly. But like the algorithm, like it eventually throttles you back and stuff. And then, I didn't notice like a super great benefit from putting a ton of hashtags. I still put like one or two, like the big beach volleyball hashtags. Because sometimes I'll see like huge results from being featured on those pages or whatever. But yeah, just trying to make my content as accessible as possible for the fan without being like too spammy in the captions, that type of thing.
Do you think that like word of mouth was kind of the biggest way that like, some players were just like, oh, hey, like look at this highlights from BounceBeach? Because Instagram's a little bit different than Facebook where, if you put up a video, like, and I could share it on Facebook, but I can't like share it in the same way on Instagram. Do you think it's just like a lot of like word of mouth and like, kind of check out this page?
I think so. It's been crazy to see when people, it's kind of surreal when people say, I got on BounceBeach, that type of thing. Like, cause I never expected that.
Right.
Like, it's insane. Like it almost has become something of its own, where like people consider it like a brand and everything, which when I was starting it, I'm like, just posting highlights for the fun of it.
We get volleyball on ESPN like once a year, maybe like all of volleyball, maybe once a year. So you're the mini ESPN for our sport, I guess. Where I got on BounceBeach, yes.
I like that, yeah.
Dude, so I pulled up your very first post, January 7th of 2019. You were announcing the retirement of Kira Valkenhorst.
Oh yeah, I did photos back then for once in a while.
You did a couple photos, and then looks like once you posted a video from The Hague, it was all over. For Fort Lauderdale Major.
I had like 6 or so videos from The Hague. They were like the worst quality ever, though. I had like I had a huge watermark. You could hardly see the players. So I'm like, I'm not letting those stay on my page. And I had a different name. Originally, it was beach_volleyball_highlights.
Okay.
For like a week or so.
And then you changed it. Where did the name BounceBeach come from? It's super catchy. I like it.
It is, yeah. Funny story. I was just after the gym. I think it was me and my dad in the car or something in the parking lot. was playing around with words in my head. You know, like I wanted to have beach in the name because I wanted to be a beach focused page. Thinking of like volleyball moves that like have the same letter, like alliterate a little bit. When I came up with bounce, and that happened to be like kind of a cool highlight play.
Yeah, totally. That's like the
It kind of
highlight that
scored on the name.
everyone wants to see the bounce.
Yeah, exactly.
Was it like sometimes when names hit you, you don't really realize it until a little bit later? Was that one like one of those things where as soon as you had it, you're like Bounce Beach? Yeah, that's the one.
That's the one. My dad's like, yep.
That's awesome. It's cool that like your parents are behind it. Do they realize like how cool it is what you're doing, like kind of how big it is in the community?
They do, yeah. They've all both of them been super supportive of me, and they realize how big it's become. I think that's a reason they've been supportive of me doing online school. They've always been supportive of my situation, um, and like not rigid in certain ways where like this is gonna happen no matter what. So that's been super cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We got to get some merchandise or some shirts or hats or something that people. I feel like people would like a lot of people would rock that just in appreciation, like for what you do for the sport.
Yeah, I've been considering it. I'll have to get something out. I just want it to be, whenever I do it, be super simple, super accessible for people. Because I don't want to get into it too fast. I have the Bounce Beach domain, so I'll be able to use that when I have it. Just put the link in my bio, make it simple.
Love it. No rush.
Yeah.
Was it pretty surreal when like because you mentioned like some of like the sports all-time greats. You're like, yeah, Phil reached out for highlights and Jake. Like it had to have been pretty surreal because like you're still pretty young when someone like that you've been watching thousands of hours of film on's like, hey dude, like I would love that highlight from me just bouncing line over Allison.
It was insane. Yeah, like super surreal. Like I'd take like 30 minutes to even process that he messaged me. Um, yeah, and I forgot to mention like Casey was one of he's obviously huge on social media. He reached out to me. I did some footage with him. He was super cool. But yeah,
But Casey
he was probably
Patterson.
one of the first. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's awesome. That's Casey Patterson, not Jennings.
Casey Patterson.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
Just clearing up the Casey's.
For sure. Jennings was later on.
Okay. And I'm sure that like if you kind of do you like sort of swap ideas with because like Casey's big on social media, obviously. So do you guys like talk about like the biggest ways to kind of like grow a following? Because I know that's a priority of Casey's.
Yeah, I'll chat with them. I talked with Madison a little bit actually.
Okay.
He's a good guy. They have the YouTube channel. They're doing great stuff. So it's cool to exchange ideas with other people like that.
Yeah, it's cool to see all the different forms of media that are coming out because you got Madison and Riley who are making like fantastic original content, and Casey's doing his own thing, and then you're just like sort of aggregating all of the best things that people would want to see. It's fun to see just kind of how big the sport's getting through these various different avenues.
It is cool because like looking at other sports, they already have things built. Like if I was a basketball player upcoming, I'd never even need to have something like Bounce Beach
Right.
to get my name out there. And there are already huge sites like that. And they have like tons of cameras, tons of footage. So it's been interesting experimenting with that because there isn't as much money in beach volleyball. Just pushing the limits, getting as much footage as possible from wherever I can get it.
Yeah.
I almost feel like all these media entities that the players are creating is kind of like it's kind of like could be where the sport's going, really. Like that's what I would think because we, like you said, it's not the biggest sport in terms of money and the business that's behind it. I think this could be kind of the future of it. Like every athlete's going to have to come in and bring their own some kind of media or building their own brand, and they're going to have to learn the ins and outs both on and off the court to be successful in this sport. And I mean, hopefully that turns our sport into that sort of because we could be ahead of a lot of the other big sports in terms of where everything's going with social media and whatnot. I mean, it's almost like a fully, I don't know, what do you call it? Personal content creation driven sport.
Sure, yeah.
We
I
could kind
think
of
so
take the
too.
forefront of it.
Yeah, obviously the players are one. Players and like super big fans are the ones that are going to have the sport's best interests in mind. So
Right.
that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Do you have like a certain amount of videos you try to put up per week, or is it just like you just kind of go at it, you're watching film, and if a highlight comes up, it comes up? But or do you have, is there like, all right, I want to get 2 Monday, 1 Tuesday, 3 Wednesday, 4 Thursday, you know? I don't know if you have
Yeah.
like kind of a schedule.
Like there's no specific day that stand out to me or anything like that, but I try to keep as many posts as possible um, without having bad content, or like spammy content. Like I'll repost posts. I don't have a set date, but like after, that play has probably left a lot of people's minds and it'd be cool to see it again. Especially in a time like this where there are no new plays happening, like no season or anything. So just trying to keep it entertaining. That's the main goal, and not annoy people. So yeah, at one point before the quarantine, I'll notice benefits when I'm posting a lot more. So I was getting pretty consistent with 3 posts a day as I was getting like clips from the pros in their off season or preseasons. But yeah, everything's kind of
What's
So
been
you got some pros practicing, and then if they do a sweet play, then they send it to you, so they can
yeah,
get
I'll
a
see it
little.
on the stories like Alex Bake. He posts like Rosie's highlights,
Yeah.
um, stuff like that. And like always I encourage pros to like send me their footage and stuff because unlike sports like NBA, there's no way of accessing that stuff. Um,
Yeah.
so and it's kind of more of an open sport where like players aren't too picky about having their practices shared on social media. So
Right.
yeah,
what
just getting my hands in as much footage as possible is the goal.
it's cool that people are sending them to you now and being like, hey, is this good enough to make the page?
It is, yeah.
That's pretty funny. Do you have anyone who's just like, hey man, I've been on in like 25 videos, like what's going on here?
No, but I'll get people joking in the comments. I I think people are joking about Try and Trevor not getting enough highlights, having too many highlights against them, um, having too many beach volley Viking highlights, Taylor highlights.
Exactly.
Did the Hawaiian curtain make Bounce Beach?
The
Rambo?
double block
Oh,
in
that one.
Hamburg.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
No.
I've posted that a couple times.
Okay.
That was hilarious.
What's
Yeah.
been the best performing video? I don't know if you know that number off the top of your head, but
Yeah, Avandro's serves do really well.
okay.
I have two of his videos. What?
I was like one of the 5 people in the stands watching him shred apart Phil and Nick in Doha.
Middle every time, like 7 times in a row. Yeah.
I was just like, yeah, Vandro, woo! Go USA!
Yeah, that was rough.
As Tri starts learning like Portuguese, he's cheering on him.
Yeah.
Bye.
How do we become a citizen of Brazil? Can I play behind that guy? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I have 2 clips of him that did really well. Laura Ludwig, there's an insane clip of her in Hamburg. She had like
Yeah.
2 crazy stab digs, like doing Thora stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And then some like weirder posts that I would never expect to do like crazy well. There was one with a guy, what's the thing, a spike trainer. I think it was just going into quarantine. That ended up getting like 300,000 views, which like blew my mind. I was like questioning whether I should post it or not at first. So that's kind of a weird experience. When I post something, I'm not even sure if I'm going to have to delete it. Like if it flops completely and it does insanely well.
Right.
Yeah. And that's part of it. Cause like catering to fans that are big on the sport, like they might not want to see someone hitting a spike trainer,
Right.
Hitting on a spike trainer. But also knowing that to get the widest, views from the fans, I'm going to have to do some like clickbait, not clickbait, but like things people like a lot, like the average person would enjoy.
Yeah.
For sure.
And do you try to keep a balance of male and female highlights, or do you find, because I'm sure that, I mean, you're a guy, so you probably watch more film on guys, so it's probably just a little bit more accessible to you.
Yeah, it's something I thought about. I try to do more women's highlights. They sometimes or most of the time they perform a little less. But I just keep that in mind when I post them. I don't have as high of expectations. That's something I need to get into doing more. Yeah, there's a ton of footage from both sides. So it's just about balancing it.
Yeah. Is there has there been times when someone sends you a clip and you're like, sorry, not making the highlight?
Yeah,
Not good enough.
I just don't say anything. I just leave them unread.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't see
Yeah.
that. Sorry. Man, you got lost in the
Yeah, there are some like, you know, like
Hey,
obviously if someone's sending them in, they have no idea of my mindset when I'm posting it.
totally, exactly.
And I can't really explain it to them.
Sorry, Travis, your vanilla line swing isn't going to make the cut this time.
Exactly. Maybe I'll get a compilation of your peel diaries eventually. You'll have to send me a bunch of those.
Give the people what they want.
Mm-hmm.
It's really funny because when I go to tournaments and play, like, and I'll make a peel dig, like a lot of people will say things like, "Oh my gosh, is that your first career peel dig?" Just because I always put up me just shanking peel digs.
Yeah, things like that are funny. I've been starting to post like more compilations of stuff. I think Melissa is it the volley around the world thing. Things like that are always fun.
Yeah, I got to witness the Dead Sea one firsthand because I went on that Israel trip with Melissa and Delaney, and they tried like 6 different spots to do their pepper around the world.
Okay.
It's funny.
Yeah,
to
I'm sure
see,
there's
like,
a lot of work that goes in those. They're insane. Like I keep scrolling and I'm like blown away each time.
Yeah, Melissa's one of the. I mean, she's another who's using social media kind of to her advantage because she's used it to get like a lot of sponsors and stuff. So we're kind of a lifestyle sport, and so it's kind of like climbing and surfing, where if you're producing good content, like that's gonna help fund your way to places.
For sure. Yeah.
But it's not like surfing to where like you're gonna get sponsorships just so they can have a photo of you playing, like an epic photo of you. Like one photo can really like make or break a surfer's career, or like get them a giant sponsorship. And our sport is like a photo of us playing is not that cool.
I don't think there's the money for that in our sport, is there?
Or something, you know?
Yeah.
It's like the only thing I think is like that's really gonna be clickbait, I feel like.
You know, Jake was talking about how the Vegas line was kind of insane with how it went viral. Do you know how it did? I mean, I think he said YouTube. I think I forgot who he said posted it, but I think that's how it got big.
Yeah.
Might have gotten Sports Center.
Maybe. I don't know. I also think it was partially having Geeter on the mic.
For sure. A lot of
Like,
highlights
you know,
are made a lot better because Geeter was on the mic.
I watch it back now and I'm like, not as good as when I was a kid. Like I've seen better now. It's still awesome, and I love that it became a thing. But it's Geeter. Like if he didn't name it the Vegas line, like we probably wouldn't be talking about it anymore.
I feel like there are a ton of highlights that could have went just as viral.
Exactly.
Like I wasn't blown away when I saw it.
Right. Exactly.
And
I'm thinking now, like I gotta think back on my career. There's so many crazy plays that happen. We play so many There's ones like where you cover it off your shoulder and then do this or that or whatever, and you just laugh at it and continue playing, and you just never think of it again. But like those are the ones that people want to see.
You gotta remember those and shoot them to me. Yeah.
Go to the bench, call timeout, write it down.
Exactly.
12-7 in the third. Okay, yeah.
Hey, Coach, like write down the timestamp.
I'm gonna DM BounceBeach real quick.
Yeah.
It's been really funny to see the discussion sparked in the comment section, like the one where like Taylor got lipped by Hayden, and then Hayden hit him with a standing jumbo pokey, and Taylor was like, "Who won?" And it just created this like firestorm where people they were like, "Oh, Taylor, you're like such a dick," and all this stuff. And it's like, but Taylor was like, "I was just being funny, guys."
There are a ton of them that are hilarious. In the Hamburg, I think it was semis, Norway versus Germany. There was that controversial like swipe off Andrus block call. I posted that one. There was a ton of heat coming in with that. I think the ref even commented defending himself.
No way.
Yeah.
That's great. You've created
It was a
forum.
comment like at the bottom though. It didn't get a ton of likes. It's just insane what kind of reach the page has.
Only our sport can the refs do that. Like any other sport, they're just totally banned from like saying anything like that.
Yeah.
And ours, they're on social media. Here's why I called it.
I mean, I have to be careful of like what controversial calls I post because refs are kind of different in this sport.
That's true, and there's a lot of missed calls. Like we have the slow-mo replays now, so then it'll be a missed call. It looks huge on the replay, but like, how's the ref supposed to see that like live? Yeah. And then they just look like idiots sometimes.
I mean, we need a system like tennis or whatever. I think they're just put in a bad position. Like making those calls, like if you just watch the highlight, like even from the camera, it's so hard to tell unless you watch the slow-mo over and over. Like we need something like tennis where like the challenge system is going in the right way, I feel like, but I don't think you need to challenge it every time.
No, but it's totally helpful.
Yeah, for sure.
I love it.
Is there like a goal that you have for BounceBeach, or is it just a super fun project that's just taken on this life of its own and you're just seeing where it goes?
I mean, at the end of the day, it'd be cool to be able to like live as a beach volleyball player and have BounceBeach fund me. But I don't know if that's realistic or not. So right now the goal is just growing the page as much as possible, experimenting with different things, trying because that's how I eventually find something, and not worried about failing.
I think it's possible, man. Just to let you know from my perspective, I think that, I mean, you've already, look how many people you've gotten in touch with. You have access now to like everyone in the sport, and a lot of people want to be a part of it, obviously. So take it as far as you want. I think you can definitely pull it off, and Travis is definitely a evidence of that.
I'll have to keep playing around with it. Yeah, that's the dream.
Yeah, just keep trying stuff. Basically, that's all I've done. And it's worked out for the past couple of years.
Yeah,
so.
For sure.
You can hang out with the SANDCAST crew whenever. We're kind of making a fake living off of this thing too. Like,
awesome. Yeah.
This is our full-time job now, right, Travis?
Yeah, that's it.
I love it.
Yeah, man. Do you have any like messages, I guess, to fans watching or players, like in terms of how they can interact or like what message you're trying to deliver to them or anything like that?
Yeah, just help me out as much as possible with footage and everything. If you feel like you saw a cool play, don't be like super critical of it. Just send it to me. Like I'll watch it. If I don't like it, I just won't post it. You might not hear back from me, but if it's an insane play, I'll post it and you'll know. So yeah, just keep reaching out to me. Any pros, send me any footage you have. I'm willing to go through, edit it. Yeah, that's like, I'm willing to do that. If you're willing to like provide me with your practice footage and stuff like that, even tournaments like FIVB, if you just set up like a random GoPro on the side of the court, that like mean a lot to me and help me out a lot.
And even an average Joe in a grass tournament in Kentucky, if it's a good enough play, send it.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love it.
Awesome. Well, our fans can reach you at BounceBeach, and then is there any other? And then what's your personal page that they can give Parker Conley some love?
Yeah, sure. Out BounceBeach. I have an Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I mess around with a little. I have a TikTok. That's probably the next biggest page, but I haven't done much with it. But my personal page is
BounceBeach TikTok.
There's a BounceBeach TikTok. Yeah, I think I have 13,000. I just had one post go crazy viral. There was an in-person camera of Adrian's mid-play skyball in Hamburg. That one got millions of views. I think nearing over 5 million or something. Like, it's insane the reach on that app that you can get.
What? Holy
so cow. I'm gonna keep toying around with it. Most of my fans came from that one post. which is insane.
That's awesome.
I don't even know. I haven't even dipped into the TikTok game yet. Isn't it dancing?
It's like dancing, comedy type of thing. I feel like highlights are kind of out of place there. I think I have to do something a little different, like still highlights, but yeah.
Interesting. Okay. I got to check that one out.
I'm imagining.
I sound like the old guy right now.
The look you gave over there, I'm imagining Gabby's over in the kitchen.
Yeah. And she's like, she gave me one of these.
I'm with you. I haven't
I'm the old guy.
I know. I don't know anything about TikTok either.
We got to hang around Parker more often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Parker, if you're ever up in California, give us a shout. We would love to actually meet you in person. But good to see Batman without the mask here. Parker Conley of BounceBeach.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much, guys, for having me on.
Absolutely. Thanks for all you do for the sport. It's you're keeping a lot of people sane during quarantine. I can guarantee you that by keeping them entertained. So
I hope so.
So we appreciate you.
Thank you, guys. Yeah.
All right, boys.
Sounds like my daughter's ready for dinner.
Give Nia my best try.
I will. Thanks, Parker.
All right. Good stuff. Have a good one, Try.
Shoots, boys.
See ya.